So another story now. The government chemist says families of victims of Shakahola massacre will wait longer for the conclusion of the DNA analysis and identification of their loved ones. Authorities cite high cost of tests and lengthy procurement procedures as the primary hurdles extending the family's agony that has been on for nearly 2 years now. Brenda Wanga reports on the multi-million shilling process that remains a major barrier to the closure these families desperately seek.
The search for answers and closure has been an agonizing journey for the hundreds of families who lost loved ones in the country's worst religious-inspired massacre at Shakahola. What began as a desperate quest for truth has turned into a grueling, emotional and exhausting ordeal, stretching on with no clear end in sight.
Usuni sababu tunapitia hali ngumu sababu mtu ukipoteza mpendwa wako ile sawa ni muziki. Ukishamuzika unakaa baada ya muda, hata kama utasahau, kama mimi siwezi sahau maisha yangu yote nitakufa nayo, lakini ingekuwa nimewasika angalau ingekuwa pengine nitaanza maisha tena upya.
We've been trying to wait and wait and wait, nothing.
That search, it seems, is far from over. The Office of the Government Chemist is now shedding light on the delays that have kept families waiting for answers, revealing the costly and bureaucratic hurdles that continue to stand in the way.
It's a very expensive undertaking, especially when you're talking about exhumed remains. You are not using your ordinary extraction protocols. You are using very high-risk, stringent chemical regimes because the DNA within those exhumed remains, number one, you suspect it to be very highly degraded.
The remains retrieved from the killing fields of Shakahola were in varying states of decomposition, a fact that the government says has made the DNA extraction and identification that much complex.
The balance is still work in progress because most of the samples, as you may be aware, they were in very bad shape. Some of them have decomposed. They were difficult in us producing a good profile DNA. So in very bad shape.
These bodies were buried in soil. There is abundance of humic acid. And again, because of decomposition processes, that DNA is highly degraded.
The government chemist instructed relatives of the deceased to provide samples for possible matching with that of the victims, and some of them heeded that call. But the government chemist says those samples have proven to be insufficient.
If you have a certain number of bodies that are coming from a scene of a disaster or a scene of an incident, you require about 3 times the number of the bodies that you have to compare with.
But even if the families come forward with more samples, the challenge remains securing the resources needed for testing. The government chemist explains that due to the sheer number of victims and the deteriorated state of the bodies, a polymerase chain reaction PCR test is required. However, this critical test is not available in the country, and the cost of outsourcing it is prohibitively high.
There is no local manufacturer who does these kits. We have to procure them from abroad. The procurement processes are lengthy, and the kits are damn expensive. One kit to just carry out like 200 runs is almost $1 million shillings. So the expense in terms of carrying out DNA, for instance, like the case of Shakahola, is in monumental amounts.
Out of the 453 bodies retrieved from Shakahola, the government has tested 333 samples, and even fewer number out of this have been matched to their living relatives.
Which have not been matched with any relative, meaning that there are still relatives out there that needs to come to us for sample taking.
It may appear that the families of the deceased will have to summon even more patience as they endure an agonizing wait for answers. With every passing day, the closure they so desperately seek, marked by the dignified burials of their loved ones, remains just out of reach. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.